Let's talk a real high level overview on team optimization in Marvel Future Fight. So, to begin with, if you've not seen this before, you can set up multiple teams so you can quickly save them. You can also, of course, pick them depending on the game mode that you're going through, but setting up teams allows you to quickly re-access them. So usually when you set up your 5 teams, you want to set up teams that you're using often in multiple game modes. Now, in different game modes like GBR, you can set up certain teams just for that game mode alone. ABX and ABL will remember your last choices, and of course, those will be limited based upon days. So there's a lot of different options in there, including world bosses and world boss legendary. You're going to have auto set up teams based upon the the bosses you choose are going to have there's 5 slots for fighting that boss. So there's a lot of different saving of teams. Now with this main area here for a lot of the different story mode content or whatever the case may be, you have this set dealer, and then you can choose someone and it puts little cross swords. When you are choosing that, that person will auto spawn in as the main person dealing damage because they are the dealer, as in damage dealer, and they will pop in first. Now, why would you want different ones chosen? Because there's different ways to set up your team. In your general setup, you have the leadership role and position. This is in the center. What this does is that person's leadership skill will take effect for the team. So choosing someone with the proper leadership for your team setup is important. In some cases, you want your leader to be the damage dealer as well. In other cases, you might want to have a lead, but have someone else as the damage dealer or someone to start with the damage dealer. It's just going to depend on the setup on the game mode itself. So just be aware, there is leader and there's also dealer setup. Now, when building your team, there's a couple things that you can look at, including what's called team passives. So when you're going through and choosing characters, there are certain team bonuses. Like in this case, we have Doctor Strange, Clea, and the Ancient One. And this is going to give the Love Intervention, which gives all 3 of these bonuses. So there's going to be different bonuses. So you can see here, as you go through the characters, if you at least have all 6-star characters, you get these 3. If you have these 2 characters, you get this bonus. These 2 characters give this bonus, and having all 3 gives these bonuses. So it's all going to vary greatly, and you can look up all of these team bonuses and set up teams based around this. And you'll see, again, there's a lot of different interactions. So when you set those teams, you can kind of help build teams using this method. However, there is a much deeper dive. That's just a real start. Let's look at it and see what's going on. Just to give you a real high level. With the characters, there are several skills they're going to have. As mentioned, there is the leadership skill. This only applies if the character is in the leader position on the team. Your passives are going to take effect regardless. So when you hear someone say there's a support character, they're going to have 2 different passives in the skills. There's other ones that apply as well. And it's going to be their tier 2 passive, and there's going to be their basic passive when they just are brand new character. So this kind of applies right at level 1. So looking through what these do and trying to make decisions on how to maximize that is going to help you with your team building. Another thing is when you look at characters that are specifically support characters, what someone is talking about is that character by itself is either not optimal or meta, most effective tactic available, or they're just the main gain from that character is having them support a main damage dealer. Now, some of them can apply to both. Some of them can be very effective as a support as well as being a main damage dealer. That's just not always the case. So this is something you learn in time as you play, the more you play. And there are going to be certain characters that are going to have either uniform benefits that also apply or artifact benefits. Take Sin, for example. Sin is a fantastic character as far as supports go. Any supervillain she's teamed up with is going to give 55% damage to boss types. So world boss legendaries, ABXs, all that good stuff. She's fantastic for PvE content for villains. Of course, requires her uniform, so you got to be kind of careful. But it's not just the passives. She also has an artifact. If you get her artifact, which is specifically for her, and it's a type match, gives an extra bonus, by the way, and the higher the artifact, the better, and you can even manage and upgrade this artifact by enhancing it, and that makes it even more effective because there's the base. And then like if I, let's see, auto enhance, let's see if we auto enhance this up to 5, because that's not going to take very long. So as we pop through these really quick, adding in these enhancement levels onto artifacts, especially when they are the character's artifact itself. Now, just because it is a character artifact doesn't mean it's a good artifact for supporting. Each one is different. You need to read your artifacts, and this just takes time. The more you get to know it, the better off you end up doing. So yeah, all this stuff is going to apply. What she's going to do here, though, is all supervillains. Look what this says. Applies to supervillains. That means her being on the team, this artifact benefits all supervillains by increasing basic damage dealt to superhero factions and supervillains, there's 2 lines, by 15% and an additional 0.5% of their total instinct up to 200. So yeah, with this makes her even better support. And I don't believe she's one of the ones with uniform bonuses. See, this says self, so her uniform itself isn't doing anything additional, but there are certain characters, I believe Black Cat, if I can remember off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember a great example to bring up. Probably should have did some double research before I went. Some of these are going to say that it affects everyone. I'm pretty sure Taskmaster is one. Can't remember if it's Taskmaster is 1 word or 2. It is 1. Luckily, it's still found Taskmaster. Yeah. So this is another example. This is a uniform bonus in this case. It applies to all allies. That means no villain, no hero, both. Both are going to get the benefits of increased basic damage dealt to supervillains and superheroes by 45%. And Taskmaster, we can come over here. No artifact. I don't remember the artifact that Taskmaster does, but you know what? I don't have to have that memorized, because you can go over here to your main area, click the top right corner and go to Marvel Universe, and then you can go to artifacts, and then you can search up the character. Let's look at Taskmaster. And we hit search. Well, what does Taskmaster do? We hold our finger over this. Oh, it only applies to self. So Taskmaster is not a better support by having the artifact. Keeping stuff like this in mind is going to help you build your team properly. It is going to help you maximize and make it the most efficient. Now, in the case of Taskmaster, Taskmaster is not a great character on their own. So I gave a CTP of Insight, which can be reforged. This is one of the 2 CTPs in the game that are geared towards support specific characters. So if I scroll down here, we have Liberations and Insights, and they can be reforged. Both of these are support CTPs. So having characters that you find and build up, and then putting the proper support artifact on them can help. And a lot of those abilities, like rolling these CTPs, will be a separate video, but a lot of these abilities are going to make a big difference. So check out the uniforms. Oh, look at this. Agent Venom, symbiote allies. So only applies to symbiote allies, but it decreases chain hit and increases chain hit. Skills. Let's look at the passives, right? Self, that doesn't do anything as a support character. That's also self. So all of this isn't going to help. So the passives here, you wouldn't even know that Agent Venom is actually a fantastic option for a symbiote team unless you looked at both the uniforms and then you looked at the artifacts. Oh, there's another symbiote allies. So the uniform and the artifact here is why Agent Venom is a great support specifically for symbiote characters, often used in PvP, teaming up with Null as a support for Null, sometimes also with Silver Surfer. Now, again, you need uniforms, you need to look through, and you need to take your time building your teams. But just be aware, when people are making these choices, they're making them for very specific reasons. What is this character adding to my team up? Is it the best option? This is especially true when you're building your teams up for Alliance Battle. So you have a lot of restrictions. So if you're building a team up, like you might see stuff here like, oh, wait a minute. I remember Blaze saying, you know, hey, look at this. All this leadership support stuff, and I've seen people use this team. Not in PvE. This is a PvP team. So you want to find other teams and then ask myself, do I want to use Scarlet Witch? If she's my best built character, she has a self-leadership. So I'll leave her in the leadership spot. Maybe something like this with Mephisto. He has a 30%. Well, the second one here for removes all debuffs, that's mostly for PvP. You don't need to worry about that in PvE. But maybe there's someone else who has a better leadership. Look at that, 60% flame damage. So taking your time to build your teams and seeing how your characters work together is essential. For the most part, you can ask folks, like if I'm in a certain game mode, who would you recommend building? You can find folks in the forums. You can find folks here on YouTube, on Twitch, and just ask them questions. Most players are eager to share their information or discuss things. Just take your time, ask why, and figure out the best way for you to play so that you're having the most fun. I'll catch you in the next one.